Hi, this is Amy Peterson at Seven Rivers Talk, and we're talking about fair elections. And we're talking right now about how the ordinary citizen can become involved in helping to ensure that elections are fair.
Right, and the other part of our involvement is also written into Wisconsin law, and it's an expectation that we as citizens will fulfill these civic responsibilities, and that is to become a poll worker. A poll worker are the people that when you go to vote are conducting the election at your polling location. There is a great need for more poll workers in the state of Wisconsin, and you would need to then volunteer for that position, either go by yourself to your elections clerk, or again, in the law, it tells us that each of the two major political parties in this state, the Republican and Democrats, are to be supplying poll workers to the elections clerks. This is not happening in the numbers that it should. If you want to volunteer through one of these two parties, go to your county party chairman and volunteer to have your name put on the list to be a poll worker. That way, if your election clerk is looking for additional poll workers, you would be considered a first choice poll worker because your name is being submitted by one of the two political parties. This is a very good education also, but you are actually responsible as a poll worker for conducting the elections. Couldn't be in a better position to protect the integrity of our election system.
Yeah, Amy, one of the things that I guess I didn't answer when we first started out is we were looking into to see if voter fraud was really going on, and I'm here to tell you that voter fraud is definitely going on. We have heard stories. There was one gal in Milwaukee who volunteered to be an election observer, and the chief election inspector, the person that controlled that polling place, was at the doorway saying, "Come on in, everybody. I already know who you're going to vote for, and all you have to do is put that mark down and I'll fill out the rest of your ballot." And it was like, what? I talked to another gal from Port Washington, Wisconsin, a little small town. Wouldn't think much would be going on there. They were election observers, and 57 people voted from one address.
You're kidding.
No. It was a three-family, but still, there were not 57 people from this address. They didn't know what to do because they hadn't been trained. They had no experience. So that's why we're saying we have a manual, we have a PowerPoint, there's going to be training programs. You will be effective. We don't want people to just go and sit there.
Right.
But half of the problem, besides the fraudulent voting, is that the poll workers are not trained properly. Our municipal clerks are overworked. They have to do absentee voting the day before an election. They have no time to get prepared. So a lot of mistakes, and a lot of reason why the fraudulent voting can take place is because the poll workers and the workers there don't really know all the rules and regulations. So that's why we feel it's doubly important to just have bodies there, just to watch for the basic
that would be
laws.
Observers. You're talking about observers.
Yeah.
But going back to the poll worker situation, I just want to add that the deadline for becoming a poll worker was November 30th of the odd year 2009. So most of the positions have been filled, but people have signed up to do this for a 2-year period of time, and their clerks are depending on that. But people's lives change, things happen, and they maybe cannot fulfill that responsibility. If you get your name on the list to be a poll worker now, you would be in position to be the next person trained to become, again, the eyes and ears in your own community. You would be conducting the election.
Excellent. Okay, so besides getting involved in the local elections, which we understand now, if we didn't already, that this is a big problem and there's a great need for that, are there other ways that citizens can become involved to make a difference?
Yes, there certainly are. I spoke earlier about attending the GAB meetings. We would like everyone out there watching to attend a GAB meeting. They're really quite interesting. You can go to their website, gab.wi.gov, find out when their next meeting is. There's a ton of information there, a lot of information on their plans, on what they're going forward, and they have some very interesting things on their agenda. They would like to see us do our entire election voting by mail. Everybody voting by mail. They also have a plan to maybe vote by phone. Everyone would vote by phone. There's another plan to vote via the computer, to register online. You know, I'm all for using our technology to help us in elections, but has anybody ever heard of the word hackers?
Yeah.
You mean,
There's nothing like a live body to say, this is
Yes.
who I am. And
so I want to find a way for technology to help us in our elections, but not the way they want to do it, because they have some other things. They want to incorporate early voting. It's another form of absentee voting. It would just open up the door for fraud. They want to eliminate the signature from absentee voting, a safeguard that we now have. That would be, we'd be rid of that. There's just a whole bunch of things that that we need to pay attention to by going up there. So we also would like to invite any citizen to come up to hear legislative hearings. When a bill is in committee, they have legislative hearings, and they invite citizens to come, and we can all give comments. And I always want to remind you, we had never done this stuff before. So all of a sudden, we're up there giving comment on legislative hearings. Right now, the present legislator has gone on summer break. And this fall, many of them are going to be running for election. So we don't know if they're going to reconvene this fall, but we're kind of keeping our eyes and ears open in case they do. They know that this is going to be a very contentious election, and we're thinking that they might try to come up with some things. So please, citizens, if you'd like to join us at legislative hearings, we'd welcome you there.
Okay, and I would like to say that this is our first part in a two-part segment. We're going to have our guests back from We're Watching Wisconsin Elections in our next episode. Then next week, Bob Burrow will be back with Luther High Principal Paul Wickman and gubernatorial candidate Mark Newman to discuss education in Wisconsin. That will be the concluding episode of Seven Rivers Talk with Bob Burrow. So, on behalf of Dr. Bob Burrow, our alternate host, Ben Keymichael, program assistant Erica Araneta, and myself, we would like to thank station KQEG for the opportunity to discuss these issues and introduce candidates, some with a conservative perspective, to our surrounding community. So we'll finish up with this elections segment right now, and then we'll conclude with our second segment on elections, and then the final show will be with Bob Burrow and education in Wisconsin. We will be back after for segment 2. Thank you for joining us.